Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Author's Corner. I'm your host, Toyin Umesiri. And with me today is Mr. Stephen D'Angelo. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm doing good, Toyin. Thank you. Thanks for having me on your show. I greatly appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. And I hope you had a great Thanksgiving
I
and time
did.
with family as well.
I did. Thank you. And hopefully you did as well.
Absolutely. So let's get right to it. Tell us about you, your background, and the name of your book and why you wrote the book. We're going to go into really amazing conversations today. I'm super excited.
Great. Awesome. So I'll start with me, my background. My background really has been in the business world my entire career. I have been in the technology business.
Hmm.
So over 35 years running technology firms, typically in the software space of technology. So I have been a chief revenue officer several times, president of a publicly traded company, CEO of an early stage venture backed company. And I've worked closely with private equity and venture capital firms in helping them build the portfolio companies that they invest in. My DNA, as I call it, my DNA is typically sales and marketing. That's
Hmm.
where I've grown up in the industry. So I've built high performance global sales teams, global marketing teams. But having been in an executive chair of companies, I understand all aspects of the technology business. But my true DNA is on the sales and marketing side. So I've been fortunate that I've been part of two public offerings, and I've helped sell three other companies with successful exits. So I understand the technology business quite well, and I've worked alongside lots of great mentors and worked alongside many very, very successful, and I will say very wealthy individuals.
Yeah.
And that is kind of what and I would say inspired me to write my book, which the book is titled A Single Day of Peace.
Mm,
And the writing of it came from my many years of working alongside very successful people
mm,
that were very happy with their life and doing very unique things. And then, candidly, very successful and wealthy people that
mhm.
are not so happy. And
Mm,
people would say to me, well, how can you not be happy if you're financially secure and you have a great career and you're an executive? And I share with them, well, there's many that I've worked alongside that have a large degree of arrogance, large degree of anger, large
mhm,
degree of just how they treat people, not in a positive way.
mm.
So what I started to do was I started to document the things that the happy, successful people did differently than the successful people that weren't so happy. And I
Wow.
did this for many years just because I'm a student of the game, so to speak. I'm a student of success. I'm a student of positive life.
Mm,
And I would just simply write down the things that I observed. And I had this library of material. And I said, I need to share it
wow.
with the world, so to speak. And is there a way that I could write a book that would be compelling and that would be interesting, that would be able to deliver these messages? So I
Wow.
decided to write the book in a way where it's an inspirational novel, where I've created a fictitious story about an individual, which I could tell you more about in a minute. But I used a novel approach in a story to deliver the message. So that's my background. I'm married for 27 years. I have two children. My son Matt is 27. My daughter Olivia is 25. And I'm fortunate to have a great family and a great career, and thankful that Kharis Publishing published my book.
Oh, wow. This is amazing. So let me pull something you talked about. You talked about success, happiness,
Yes.
right? And you put it into two buckets of groups of people that you've experienced, you know, given your vast, vast, rich, deep, successful life in the business world. And you shared about, just your observation through the years of, what success looks like, right? People could be successful, but you're saying that some successful people are not happy while some successful people are happy. So let's start breaking down in terms of what would you then say makes people happy with or without success? Or what's that driving factor given
Well,
what you've seen?
I think that's a great question. I actually wrote an article about happiness. It was published by CEO Magazine.
Wow.
And they asked me to write this article, which I did. And the first thing about happiness that we have to understand is it's not a constant thing, right?
Mm,
We all go through ups and
Mm,
downs. That is life. And so the first thing to understand about being happy is that there are days where we have frustrations, we have challenges, and maybe we're not so happy in a given day. But understanding that and understanding that it's a natural part of life
mm,
allows you to kind of not get so down on yourself when things aren't going so well.
right.
So that's the first thing to understand. And the other piece I wrote about in the article about happiness is that life is a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I write
Mm,
about this in my book. It's one of the principles in my book that we attract and we manifest the things that we want in our lives.
mm,
And we can manifest them in a negative way. We can
mm,
manifest them in a positive way, but without question, there's a manifestation process that we attract the things in our lives. And I can tell you, I am a product of that personally. I had gone through a divorce and I was in a tough period of time in my life. And, financially, I took a hit because of the divorce. And I just went through this manifestation process of what I wanted my career to be like, my personal life to be like. And I meditated on, et cetera, et cetera. And it's amazing how people come into your life. Like, how did that happen?
mm.
How things come to you. So that's another piece of happiness, understanding that I'm responsible for my happiness. Yeah.
I love that because for me, I say, you really attract who you are, right?
Mhm.
Not just what you want, but our primary focus, in my opinion, ought to be, just developing ourselves to become that person that will be happy, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
in a way, that journey in of itself produces, right, what you want,
Yeah.
right?
That's right.
But oftentimes, I think most people are externally oriented, and in a way it's never the fault because society programs us to be externally focused, right? Society in a way pulls us away from ourselves versus coming back. I say coming back home, right?
Right.
Coming back
Right.
home to your own power, your own inner strength, your own person, because that's where you produce life. That's you actually produce the life you want from within yourself, not
That's
from without. So I'm with you on the
let,
general
let me let me
principle.
comment
Yes,
on that. And
yes.
you and so one of the things that I think is really a challenge is, all of these devices that we have, our smartphones and social media, et cetera. So many people, probably the majority, they wake up in the morning. What's the first thing they do? They pick
Hmm,
up their device, they check Instagram, they
hmm,
check Facebook, they look at the news, which is
hmm,
never positive, right? So they're getting
hmm.
all of this external data into them, and that's how
Wow.
they start their day. And they do this every day versus maybe the first thing we need to do, and it is the first thing we need to do when we wake up, is just go through some meditation process
Hmm.
of it doesn't have to be an hour long. It could be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but let's get grounded. Let's start to visualize what we want our day to be like. Let's visualize the goals that we've set, that we visualize that we're achieving them. Let's get the right mindset. Rather than getting all this external stuff coming into us, let's get more in touch with internal kinds of things. And I often, and one of my other principles I talk about in the book is the idea of silence.
Hmm.
Like, you know, if you can, and this is one of the things I've seen very successful people do, they spend time each day being silent. Going somewhere, it could be a conference room, it could be a bathroom, it could be their, anywhere. Just go somewhere, close your eyes, a few deep breaths, and just be silent for 5 minutes. And it's amazing how the spirit inside you talks to you. You get these thoughts, this clarity, right? Because you're quiet and you're silenced, and most people are very uncomfortable with that silence. I joke from time to time with my wife. My wife is a talker, and every once in a while I say, just be quiet for a second, and I'd go, did you hear that? Isn't that wonderful? It's nothing. Let's just have a little silence once in a while. But yeah, I think your spirit inside you speaks to you when indeed you spend that time in silence. And again, lots of successful people I've seen actually make it a ritual in their day for silence.
Absolutely. I'm with you. It's actually a requirement for success. People don't talk about it, and the type of success that will lead you to happiness requires, silence, some form of quietness, some form of spiritual practice.
Correct.
And part of this is because I say, for example, a business idea, when I work with entrepreneurs, a business idea is a spiritual gift.
Mm,
It's the source of an idea. When you think about it, it holds the potential of a possible future. And only those who wrestle with it, who see it, embrace it, nourish it, desire it, nurture it, invest in it, and then manifest it will enjoy the fruits of that seed.
correct.
So, but that practice in of itself, that manifestation practice, in fact, I created a framework, I call it the creator method in my school, where it actually
Mhm.
starts from, you receive an idea. It's a spiritual, it's not tangible, you cannot touch it, it's not physical,
Right.
but the idea is it holds incredible potential. But just as a seed, you've got to plant it in your heart, you've got to water it, you've got to nurture it, you've got to believe in it, you've got to invest in it for it to become a physical product, service, right? A manifestation in the physical realm, right? So that form of success, right? Because there's success where you're just chasing things externally. But
Right.
the type of success that leads to ultimate fulfillment is when you bring into the world what started and originated in your mind. it,
Correct.
it brings such a fulfillment that nothing else matters, right?
Yes.
Is that
Yes.
something that started, originated within you, and you're able to nurture it, produce it, and then eat the fruit. The world benefits from it and you benefit as well. And so for me, I try to focus on success as that inner, right? It's just staying with you, because we're incredibly creative, right?
Correct.
But not every one of us has tapped into our creative potential, because what we create in of itself is successful. Whenever
Yeah.
we create, we are successful.
So this is interesting. So when I do some speaking engagements for companies, whether it be an executive retreat, and I'll join them to talk about some of these topics.
Mhm,
One of the things that I talk about is there's again this topic of so much noise, external
mhm,
information. We don't spend enough time to be quiet. And then to your point, creativity. How do we get our creativity out of us? I'm a
mm,
big believer in meditation. Again, this is part of being silent, but the actual process of having a meditative program that you go through to get to what's called that alpha level, when your brain waves slow down
mhm,
and you are silent and ideas start come to you and
mhm,
thoughts come to you, and even you can solve problems that you're dealing with that way, right? But you need to get connected to that spirit inside you. And we all have the spirit inside us. It's whether or not we connect to it, and then we listen to it. And the way to connect to it is through meditation. And I will tell you, lots of high charging executives and business people, that sounds like, pie in the sky stuff. The only way I'm just going to go make it happen, I'm going to run through the wall. And while that's a good attitude, we want to be aggressive and we want to be hungry and we want to work hard. Let's not forget, work ethic is an important thing. However, let's
mm.
also find some time to let this unique spirit inside you, let it talk to you, let it give you the ideas.
Absolutely. And trust me, the physical, the physical activities has its limits.
Correct.
I think it definitely, it's part of the process, right? It's
Yeah,
part of the process. It's right. We eat food to get energy, right? We move around. We're creative beings, right? Physically as well. But what I've also seen is that the creative, imaginative power of the spiritual dimension of us is unlimited, right?
that's
You can
correct.
dream, like the people like Elon Musk and the likes of them, right? You can dream of a possible future, right? The concept of just dreaming by itself has zero limit.
Right.
You alone decide when you don't want to dream, right? But if you spend time dreaming and being imaginative about what's possible about the future, anything is actually possible.
Yes.
And so even that quietness is where you go into the realm of impossibility to say what people consider to not be possible in the physical dimension, it's only because somebody has not activated the possibility of the impossibility,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. So, to that part that you just mentioned, again, as I've noticed successful, happy people, is this idea of spirituality and
Mm-hmm.
understanding that I call it a spirit inside of us. Those very religious would say we all have God inside of us, right? We all have it in us and we just have to tap into it.
Mm-hmm.
But the very successful people that are very happy, I often say you have a level of spirituality about you. And some of them would be really surprised to hear that. And they say, "What do you mean spirituality?" I mean, I don't know if I believe in God. I don't go to church. I mean, what do you mean? I said, "Well, you meditate, right? That's," or others, I say, "You have this foundation that you've built that you donate your money to help various causes. That's
Mm-hmm.
a spiritual activity. You're mentoring college students or you're mentoring some of your employees and you make it a point to have time to do that. These
Mm-hmm.
are all spiritual oriented. You're putting out goodness."
Mm-hmm.
And they think about it and they say, I guess you're right. Maybe I do have a level of spirituality in me, you know? But back to the happiness topic, I think that's a big part of happiness is giving to others, right? Let's have gratitude. We all, we want to strive for more. We all have goals. I call it divine dissatisfaction, where,
Mm-hmm.
I want something else and that's okay. But let's understand that we need to be thankful and we're pretty good with what we have.
Yes.
And then you want to help others. How can we help others live a more happy and successful life? And I often say, I wrote a single day of peace to help make the world a better place by
Mm-hmm.
helping people find their better place. So if
Yes.
I can inspire someone, I can put some ideas in them and I can give them reason to believe in themselves better and achieve good things, it naturally flows to the world, right? Because
Yeah.
we'll create more unity and we need unity more now than ever. So people that are successful, they tend to give more, at least those that are happy and they're following the right principles.
Yes, absolutely. And one thing is clear, even if we don't call it spirituality, right? Because many times there are several things we may be doing, but we may not know what it's called, or we may not want to associate or affiliate with, religion and whatever that is, right? But the fact is that there is a side of us, there's a dimension of us that is not tangible, that is not physical,
Exactly.
right? Is that, if you go to the hospital and people can touch your body, they can touch your organs, they can, right? Doctors can see, there are certain things they can see with the physical senses, right?
Hmm.
The sense of taste, touch, sight, sound, right? We know those five senses that govern the physical realm in terms of how we experience the physical dimension.
Correct.
Fantastic. But everything else that people cannot see, they
Right.
cannot touch, they cannot smell, that even you cannot comprehend in terms of the functioning of the mind, the heart, not the physical heart, the
Yeah,
place of emotion, the place of desire, the place of passion, the
exactly.
place of fear, the place of happiness, right? All of those parts of us,
Yes.
right? Many people are yet to nurture it,
Yes. Yes.
right? Many
Yes.
people are yet to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Many people are yet to experience the gift of managing that side. Like, what usually happens is people just let that run their life. And I always say, you're not your mind, but your
Right.
mind can thoroughly manage your life for you,
Right.
right? It's a gift for you to manage and program, right? When we talk about mindset, is that if your mind is on autopilot and you give it
Right.
to the
Right.
world, and the world programs you, culture programs you, community programs you, trust me, they will run your life for you.
Yeah. Well, the idea of the mind, I often say, and I do write this in my book, it's one of the key principles. You become what you think about most.
Mhm.
But it's very important to be proactive as to what you think about. If you want to be a positive, inspiring person, you want to attract money, you want to gain weight, lose weight, I want to live in a different climate, whatever it is, you have to be manifesting and programming those thoughts. And when
Mhm.
you get thoughts that say, oh, I'm never going to make enough money, you got to cancel those thoughts out. And you have
Mhm.
to put new thoughts into your mind that I am attracting
Right.
abundant financial assets to my life every day. There's ways in which you have to set those thoughts, because that the thought process is what drives your life. And those people that are constantly thinking in the negative, they often say, well, I'm just a realist. This is what's going on. And I often say, well, don't be such a realist. Be a fantasy person for a while. Start identifying what you want to have happen positive in your life, and start putting those thoughts into your mind and visualize those things that you already have achieved them, and you'll manifest those kinds of things. So thought is important, very, very important, but we have to control that.
I agree. And in fact, I think it's self-sabotage if the thoughts in your mind, the thoughts you're holding on to is in conflict with what your desires, hopes, and aspirations.
Yes.
If you hold, if a thought holds your attention that is in conflict to the person you want to become, I think it's self-sabotage. I
It
think you're
is.
standing, I think whoever does it, you're standing in your own way, in a way, right? Like, you cannot become someone that you're saying you cannot become.
That's very, very true. So principle number one in my book, A Single Day of Peace, is to celebrate your difference
Mm,
and realize that you are a very unique and powerful human being. And the reason why it's the first principle is because self-esteem is probably the thing that's the most important,
hmm.
and the thing that holds most people back. For
Okay.
some reason, something happened in their lives, whether it was a teacher
Mm,
that ridiculed them, whether it was a sports coach that challenged them, or maybe there was some level of abuse in their life.
mm,
Whatever it may be, has pinged them in a negative way where their self esteem isn't as strong and as great as it needs to be. So, the
mm,
first thing that we have to understand is we have to help everyone realize you are a powerful human being. God made only one of you. There'll never be a duplicate. And you
mm,
have the power in you to overcome whatever challenges you have. You
mhm,
have to have that faith and that belief that that's possible. And then there's a step-by-step process to get through it so that you can
mhm,
start to build your self-esteem. So you can go and try good things, because people have low self-esteem. Well, I'm not going to try that. I'm going to fail. It's not going to work. I'll never lose the
mm.
weight. I'll never make the money. Like, let's get rid of that. Let's realize that you are unique and powerful. And now let's start to change again the programming, and let's start manifesting the positive things. But we must work on self esteem.
Okay, I love that. Let's dive deeper into that, because
Okay.
you talked about it being number one, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, what is self-esteem in a way? Because I think people model it up with some form of pride or arrogance. So, what is self-esteem in a healthy way that is important to success?
Yeah. I will define what I believe it is and what I've seen in successful people and what I try to
Mhm.
model. And I'll share with you how the behavior of this should be adjusted in a proper way.
Okay.
So, first, let's define what self esteem is. Self esteem is an individual that realizes that they are in control of their life,
Okay.
that they can accomplish great things and whatever's great to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they want to start a school for disabled children. Maybe they want to be a teacher. Maybe they want to be a business exec, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
that you have the power to do that. So, a belief, an internal belief that I can do this. I know I'm going to have challenging days, but I'll overcome those days. And I know I'm a good person. And regardless of what other people think of me, I know based on my behavior that I'm
Mm,
strong, powerful, and I can achieve things. And I'm going to achieve things. And I have confidence in myself. And I know I'm going to make mistakes, but that's okay. That kind of cycle is what I see self-esteem is. There's a belief in themselves, and no matter what anyone else says to me, I may feel bad for a moment or two, but I'm going to be strong enough to say, I have a shield around me, and you may think that, but I'm going to accomplish what I want to set out to accomplish. Now, how do I behave that way?
wow.
Well, One piece of behavior is persistence, which is another principle in my book.
Mhm.
We must persist. We must be willing to keep fighting and have work ethic, which is another principle. Go forward, charge forward. But now there's another one, humility.
Mhm.
Doing it with humility. Like if I scored the touchdown and I got to run around the stadium waving to everybody and showing everybody how great I am, okay, why don't we let our greatness show itself in how
Mhm.
we do things? So realizing that I need to be humble,
Mhm.
realizing that that if I demonstrate myself with strength but humility, that is going to attract more positive things to me.
Mm.
So there's moments where we'll be arrogant, I would say, and we're tough, but we have to pull that back a little bit because human
Mm.
nature does say, I'm achieving all these things. I have confidence to do what I want to do, but let's try not to do it in an arrogant way.
Yep.
So that's kind of how I define it and what I look for in the behavior. And I will tell you, the most successful people, there's moments of arrogance in how they do things, but they pull it back and they recognize, I'm not the king here, right?
Mm.
I have to tone it down a little bit and let me, show people humility.
Wow. There was something you talked about at the very beginning of this question, answering this question around control. And
Mhm.
it's kind of like who is driving who is in the driver's seat of your life? What thoughts, opinions, right, are you allowing to drive your life?
Right.
Right? Because self-esteem may mean get in the driver's seat, right?
Right.
Get in the
Yes.
driver's seat and go where you want to go,
Yes.
right? Don't allow other people to determine the direction of your life, how to drive your life. Don't let them hijack, right? Your car, your destiny, your
That's
life,
right. That's
your
right.
future. Because I think that's where it connects with mindset is that when thoughts that are not yours and
Right.
are not in your favor and are not going to help you achieve your goals, and they're limiting you, they're stopping you, the voices, right, hold you hostage in a way, they're not letting you drive your life.
Right.
I think that's just hearing you say control. I think that's a key
Yes.
factor is that if the system is controlling you, if the government is controlling you, if your employers are controlling you, if your family is controlling you,
That's right.
if everybody is controlling your life except you,
Right.
no wonder people are kind of like lost.
Yes, so absolutely true. So we talk about having that self-esteem and self-programming and manifesting and good positive thoughts, but we need a support system. You made a great point. If I'm letting the media control me, my family control me, my boss, I want to surround myself with a support system. I
Mm,
want to surround myself with people that are more like I want to be like. I share this with my children all the time. Hey, you want to be successful in any endeavor? Go find the people that are
mm,
and go spend time with them and
mhm,
take them to dinner, invest the money, talk to them about how they did it, get a support system. So it's interesting. Tomorrow morning, I'm having breakfast. I live here in West Palm Beach, Florida, and there's an executive that's nearby here and we connected on LinkedIn and I offered just, hey, let's meet up and have coffee and get to know one another. And he wrote me back and said, yeah, but what's like your agenda was his ask of me. And I said, no agenda, just, you're a successful business person. I've been relatively successful. Let's compare notes. I wrote a book about this. And he said, yeah, you're right. Let's meet for coffee. So we're going to meet tomorrow. Right. And I think that the important thing is if people are feeling controlled in a negative way, be careful who you hang around with. Be
mm.
careful who you associate with, right? Birds of a feather flock together, right? That old saying, and it's true. Put yourself in the position of being associated with people that you want to be like. Spend that time
Yes.
because that support system, you'll start to believe more because you'll see that this person who's hugely successful that you think, oh my God, is like the God of whatever, you're going to find they had family problems, they failed, they lost money, but they kept on keeping on. They had determination, they had persistence, they had positive programming that they could do it. And that'll let you say, you know what? If this person did it, I can do it. They didn't live a perfect, flawless
Mm,
life.
mm.
And so I can do it too. So you start to feel that confidence.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when you say birds of the same
Birds of a feather flock together. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. While that is, people can think about it from a physical realm, there's actually a spiritual side to it,
It's
right?
more spiritual, actually.
It's actually, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's more spiritual. And
Yes.
one of the spiritual principles that many people may not really even understand this concept is that other people's thoughts can become yours even when they don't speak to you,
Right.
just by being in proximity. If you enter a room,
You're talking
okay,
subjective communication is what you're talking about. The ability to actually communicate with others
we
subjectively
do we
it is a
do
real thing.
right,
Absolutely a real thing.
we do communicate. If you enter a room where you're not welcomed, if you enter another room where you're celebrated, people don't have to speak a word for you to feel the energy,
Right.
right? So even as
Absolutely.
energy beings, right, these are spiritual energetics principle. Even part of success is that all you have to do is to be in proximity, or for people to have access to your space, your
Yes.
physical space. Soon enough you will start thinking like them, and the moment you start thinking like them, you start carrying their emotions as well. The moment you start carrying their emotions, you start behaving in
Yes.
similar ways, right? And so many people may not understand this concept of energy transfer, because it's not just even the energy, it's the thought attached to the energy. Is that if you see somebody smiling,
Yes.
just by seeing somebody smiling, something inside of us smiles.
Yes.
If you see, and even when somebody yawns, you're likely to yawn, right?
Yes.
If somebody is happy, they're likely to increase your vibration as well. If somebody is hopeful, if somebody is excited, people's emotions transfer,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It rubs up on you. And
That is right.
so this energetics principle is one of those things that if you're in the midst of people that are progressive, that are successful, that are energetic, that are really focused on high vibration thoughts,
Correct.
that they believe, they are hopeful, they have this sense of possibility, they have this audacity to pursue success, soon enough you will rise in vibrate, you will rise and you start performing at
Yes.
that level. And the
Yes.
opposite, the exact opposite is 100% true. Is that if you hang out with people not going anywhere, they're satisfied, they complain on and on and on, soon enough you fall into that trap as well. So
Absolutely.
that's something that people need to take very, very seriously. That you don't have to hang out for too long, but consistency in certain spaces, right, will soon enough, their energy rubs off on you. The way they think, you start thinking that way. What they're doing, you start doing as well. And in a way, it corrupts your system, right?
Or if it's with the right people, it elevates your system, right? And
100%.
no question about it. And again, what do successful, happy people do? They're very careful who they
Mm,
spend time with. Very
yes.
careful. Yes. So to your point, in that spirit, you got to find the people with the right spirit that will help you stay on track or be more on track or achieve more, whatever your objectives and your goals are. Absolutely critical.
And you had talked about earlier also putting in the investment required. I think that that's one conversation that many people may not want to confront, and in of itself is a barrier. So, for example, every year I host annual summits where I bring like government stakeholders, ambassadors, I bring them together, and I found it to be incredibly like it's enriches my soul, and so all of the work, all of the investment, financial investment, right? It's at the end of the day it grows me. I benefit from surrounding myself with,
Absolutely.
like,
The
listen,
positive energy, that positive energy.
oh my
Absolutely.
gosh, the rooms are always the energy of world leaders and World Bank and governments, and these are key people that are actually designing the future of the world. Just being able to bring them together, hold that space for them, and me being in that space and inviting other people to be in that space. 2.5 days later, people do not want to leave that space,
Right.
because that energy is just transformative, it's impactful, it's life changes, life given in a way, and not everybody has access to all of that, every day of their life. But trust me, I always encourage people, like what you're sharing, invest in communities that will help you achieve what it is you're trying to achieve, because it's tough out there to be doing it by yourself. So I'm with you
Agreed.
on that principle. What other principle would you like to share as well from your book? And I really appreciate this, by the way.
Yeah, of course, of course. Um, there is another one that I was pretty surprised about. But when I thought about it, not so surprising. But it's how people, the successful, happy people, truly manage their financial side of their life.
Mm,
There have been very successful, supposedly on paper, wealthy people that
mm,
spending habits have hurt them financially
mm,
very, very significantly.
mm,
So the discipline of, very simply to say, save your money, right? The
mm,
discipline of, as you start to get more success and you start making more money, most people, they raise their income goes up, their standard of living goes up. They
mm,
buy the new car, they buy all these depreciating assets. The successful, wealthy people, what they do differently is, early in their career,
mhm,
they it's not that they're stingy, but they
mhm,
really manage how much they spend versus how much they invest for their future.
mm,
And there was a great book that's written about this, that was referred to me when I first started my career. It's called The Richest Man in Babylon. It's
mhm.
a fantastic book. It's a short read, and it's about, candidly, saving your money as you. It's a great story how this person becomes wealthy. But I have seen so many great successful executives who today, literally billionaires, right? But
Wow.
early in their career, it was, I have to manage my assets properly, having that discipline. And it sounds so obvious, but so many people don't do it properly. So I would say that is a key one. Another key principle, and this is what hold back some people, is you don't have to start, and most of the times you won't start on the top. You won't be
Mm,
number one. You're going to be number 100 maybe, but
mm,
through discipline, positive visualization, hard work, persistence, you'll get there. And so you don't have to start out as number one to be number one. And realize that you will get there through some ups and downs. Life to success is not a straight line up. It's not. It's a bumpy line. Some ups, some downs, but you keep on keeping on, you get there. And then one, of course, I mentioned it already, but a level of generosity. True happiness comes in making the world a better place. It really is. The more you can help someone else,
mm,
whether it's one person on the street, or there's a something you like to donate a little bit of money to, even if you're donating $10, it doesn't have to be $10,000, right?
wow.
You're doing something to help make the world a better place. A very key principle for genuine happiness, really happiness. Yes.
Oh, I love this, because for me, I don't I no longer see success as something outside or something reaching for. I see it more of ascension.
Mm,
I see it more of who we become on the journey, because for me, I say, you think you're building a business, but the business is actually building you. It's the person you become by all of those experiences that actually is the ultimate asset, is the ultimate wealth.
yes.
Because we all start out in this world buried beneath a bunch of stuff,
Right.
thoughts, assertions, culture, limited beliefs that technically puts us into survival mode,
Right.
right? Most people are programmed, even the traditional education systems programs everybody into survival mode.
Right.
But we weren't designed for that. That's not what God designed us
That's
for,
correct. That's
right?
good. That's right.
That's not its original plan. So it's be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, subdue it, right? That level. So in a way, self-actualization is coming out of survival mode, which is when we put that against Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Mm,
As long as, if all you're thinking about every single day is food, clothing, shelter,
right.
you're still at the base of the pyramid,
That's right. Yeah.
right? But as self-actualization is where we start producing,
That's
where,
right.
where we start the gift talents within us, when we start putting it into use, and in a way, there is no barrier. There really is no barrier
Right.
to your creativity, to your productivity, to your self actualization,
Right.
right? To you bringing more of yourself to the world. And for me, that's what I would see as levels of success.
Yes.
Levels of success is, how can I create more impact in the world? How
Yes.
can I contribute more? How do I expand my capacity?
Yes.
And ultimately, it's not just even what I can do, it's who I become in the process.
Yes. Yeah. That saying, you have to give to get, or the more you give, the more you receive. It's true. It's true. But it is so hard for some people to give of their time, to give a little bit of their money. There's a cynical thought that they have of what happened, but the more you do give, the more you do get, whether it's what we're doing today and putting some ideas out there, and these ideas get seen and listened to by other people, and maybe we stimulate some people's thoughts and they
Mhm.
can be better at what they do and have more success for themselves. I mean, that's at the end of the day what it's all about. Yes. Do I want to achieve
Absolutely.
more? Yes. Do I have goals? Yes. And one may say, well, that's selfish. There's things you want. Well, the more I can do in life, the more I can give in life, right? So
Right. And the more you can attract in life.
that's right. Yeah.
Right? Because at the end of the day, the traditional education system, right? You invest, at least if you have at least a degree from any Western,
Yes.
society, you invested at least 20 years to get a degree. The first 20 years of everybody's life, we're
Right.
programmed to develop our mind, IQ, to be able to comprehend, right? To be able to develop technical skills that we can sell to the industries,
Right.
whether it's engineering, accounting, whatever that skill
Exactly.
is that anybody that doesn't enroll in that process will be dependent on the system if you're not contributing, right? So it's about
Right.
contribution at the end of the
Yes.
day. So society
Schools
expects.
need to teach this. Schools need to, even from grammar school, right? We
I
have to get
know,
children to
I
understand
know.
that you are in control of your life. You can manifest your life. That's what
but
we need to
but
teach
by
children.
design. So I come from a family of educators, right? My late father was part of establishing two university. My husband is a professor, as you know.
Yeah.
I'm a business educator, and I say the school system was never designed for self-actualization. It
Right.
wasn't. It was designed, it came out of the industrial era's need for technical skills. That's it,
Yes.
right? It's is that when you think about the industries, mass production, all of those things, now you need sophisticated skills, not just, right, somebody just farming, right? Every technology, right, evolved in such a way, and humans had to evolve. And so the entire curriculum was designed for people to say, okay, who do you want to be? Who you want to
Mhm.
be is that question is not what has God created you to be. It's pretty much of everything happening in society. What skills are marketable that the industries can afford to back exchange
Right.
with you? It's like we're trading. So we go through that school system. I have 2 degrees myself,
Right.
mathematics, information systems. I was in the corporate space for years. I understand that. But this, when we now awaken, the moment you want more than survival,
Right.
the moment you want more than a job, the moment you believe there's so much more inside of you that you want to, should I say, unleash,
Right.
meaning bring it forth,
Sure.
that's the moment people will realize that school has not prepared you for that.
Right. Now, obviously, education is a very important thing. I think,
Absolutely.
if you talk about creating a successful society, I think there's two things that children need. They
Mhm.
need a good family life and they need education. If you have
Absolutely.
those two things, you have a higher probability of being successful without question and have a
Absolutely.
positive life. But the education piece, very, very important. But you've summarized it very well as to how it was designed and what it was designed for. I wish we can provide more of this kind of
Mm,
concept in our education system. How great would it be if we could teach children early on in their life that they've got, this is not religion, they just have this energy or a spirit or a thing inside them that they can be do great things. You'll find the thing that you could be great at and you could do great things, and thinking positive, all of those kinds of things. How
mm,
great would it be if we could teach this to children in grammar school so now they can excel in grammar
mm,
school? We don't judge them just based on how well they do math, right? Or
mm,
how well they read, right? Now they can do even better through grade school and then succeed more in high school and in university, et cetera. I mean, I wasn't a great student at all in
mm,
grammar school, a C, maybe even D student. Okay. I was a sports kid. So I really, I didn't feel positive about school. And I don't think I ever had a teacher say to me, it's okay. You're going to be great. Let's work on how you think. Let's work on how you see yourself, and math will come easier to you. Like, there was none of that, right? Luckily, by the time I got in the end of high school and into university, I became a good student because I became more disciplined, etc. But I think that there's a place for these kinds of concepts to our children.
absolutely. I'm going to push this a little bit further. The
Okay.
whole concept of education in of itself,
Yeah.
I think we need to disrupt it, because life itself is education.
Yes.
We're here to learn. We come into the world as a baby, blank slate,
Yeah.
and every single day life is teaching us something. What I hope eventually we disrupt is making the school system synonymous with the entirety of life education. No, it's not. The school system, if all you know is what the school has taught you, you are very limited in the world.
Right.
If all you're operating your life with is what you attained from first degree, second degree, third degree, if you have not learned anything beyond that degree, you are very limited right now, because that education only takes you so far. Even in
Right.
the corporate world, it will take you entry level, period. For
Correct.
you to ascend, even in corporate, you've got to add on leadership, collaboration, net. There are so many skills that goes beyond, and this is the biggest challenge in the world today.
Hmm.
People who settle on their degrees.
Right.
That stuff is just the first two ladders up the ladder of success.
Right.
For you to ascend, to become more, to contribute more in the society, there's so much more than just technical skills,
Correct.
right? All of the softer skills that the school curriculum has not baked in is
Right.
actually the secret of wealth creation,
You are absolutely correct.
right?
I
The
mean, how many great
secret is not
students with great grades struggle, right? Struggle financially, right? Because those other skills that are required to take the blessing that they have, if they have the brain that is enables them to be great students, economics or mathematics or law, if they're able to take that and combine it with these concepts we're talking about to elevate themselves, my God, the amount of success they have.
exactly.
And then that's why the Leon Musks are the Leon Musks, right? He has a blend of genius from an intellectual perspective
Yeah.
and his desire and his belief in himself. And by the way, it's really interesting. I haven't read the book about him, but I've heard saw excerpts. He was ridiculed as a child by his father for a
Mm,
long, long time, right?
mm,
And that did something to him more in a positive way, which,
mm,
I don't advocate that approach, but
mm.
that's an interesting fact about him.
Right. And I am a product of that system. Like I shared, I have 2 degrees. My first degree is mathematics. So when it comes to IQ, right? Because that system is focused on IQ.
Yes.
Business success is EQ. You're not
EQ.
going to go really far without EQ.
Absolutely true.
Creativity is tied to spiritual psychology, right?
Yes.
When you think about self discipline, time management, on and on and on, this
Yes.
is what is missing, right? These are the skills that takes people further than just IQ. Because here's the key: I have also seen that the smarter you are, the more dangerous it is. You know why?
Mm.
If you don't couple all of these skills, because smart people are 100%, right, fully confident in all that they know. And
Right.
truly speaking, all that you know is limited in the world,
That's correct.
right? So being 100% fully confident in 0.0000%
Yeah,
knowledge
yeah, 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 yeah.
is limited. But once you start going into EQ and you see the talents of other people, you see the skills of other people, and you start creating synergy, and you
Yes,
start bringing people together, and you
yes.
start mobilizing a force, and you start influencing, right? EQ is when you have to
You're
influence
talking
other
about great
people.
leadership now. Now you're
Ex-
covering great leadership. Yes,
Now that's when you start moving the world,
yes.
right? Because oftentimes you find people at certain levels of success say things like, why do they pay the CEO? Why do they pay this guy much more than
Mm,
myself?
mm.
Okay. And one of it is they're not paying you for time, they are paying you for productivity.
Yes,
If you give an hour to Elon Musk, you give an hour to Jeff Bezos, you give an hour to the CEO of your company, just by the position of their influence,
yeah,
the productive what they will produce, the results they will produce in an hour versus your own production capacity is different. That's what people aim for.
yes.
So if somebody is leading 250,000 people, Fortune 500 company, and you alone, you clock in, you do your work, and you clock out, listen, you will earn at the level of the value you're contributing.
That's
And one
correct.
of one of what I then say is education. Education is then how you're going to train yourself to
Yes,
produce more,
yes.
right? How you, the skills you're going to, the knowledge you have to acquire, the skills you need to develop, the relationships you need to cultivate, on and on and on. The energy, even your own energetics. Listen, if you don't work on your energy, people don't want to work with you,
That's
right?
right.
so,
That's right.
so, so all that you do, education is how you train yourself to perform at a higher level where your contribution to the society is perceived at a certain way, and people are ready and willing to reward you at that level. So it comes back to self. Now,
Yes.
that's why for me, we tend to see education as the four walls of the current education system.
Right.
I see life
Mm,
every single day. This conversation, this
right.
exchange, we need to become a student of life if you want to achieve more success. That's a principle. And
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that?
Um, well, I think you're summarizing it, quite well. I mean, especially the point that you made when someone would say, "Why does the CEO make that much and I make this much?"
Hmm.
You know, I, I think if you're inspired by what the CEO makes, then do what you need to do to deliver value to become a CEO and earn that money. I mean,
Hmm.
honestly, I'm a capitalist and I believe in, the financial system of the world. And, if somebody's making more money than me, I don't want to I don't want to be jealous. I want to be some like inspired by it actually.
Hmm.
That okay, so that's possibility. Let me go find a way to get there. And yes, our education system needs to kind of instruct or discipline more in these ways where people can become great at whatever it is they want to be great at.
Wow.
So yeah, I think you've summarized it very well. And I have friends that are on boards of various universities, and I tell them that I say, we need to teach some of these life skills of the psychology of life being a self-fulfilling prophecy. Oh, and by the way, I also tell them the tuition is way too expensive. Having put two kids through college, and you think about what it costs to go to a top university these days, it's insane. It's insane.
Hmm.
So that needs to get adjusted as well. I don't know how that gets adjusted, but I think it's gonna self-impose adjustments because I
Hmm.
think as the economy maybe becomes to struggle in the next year or two, I think we're going to find that families are
Hmm.
not going to be willing to be spending 50, 60, 70, $80,000 a year on
Hmm.
education, right? And all of these student loans the government is bailing out.
Hmm.
This is all going to come back to bite us. So
Wow.
I, I think change is inevitable and it may be forced.
Right. Wow. And interestingly, like for me, coming out of the corporate space and having a background in the education system, what I've seen is maybe it doesn't change fully. I mean, they will decide what's best for the future. I think the world right now is going through that reflection. We're at that point where everybody's saying,
Yeah.
what does the future look like? And hopefully they're empowered to shift it. But what I am seeing is that the world is not waiting for that to change. There's a new industry. When you think about the coaching space, I've been watching it even for me becoming a coach, is
Right.
that when it comes to self-actualization, people are going into the marketplace to now access the types of support they need. They're not turning to the traditional education system.
No. No.
They're not turning to, even when you think about even all the systems that we created, right? They now have to be disrupted, because even the medical system, right? We ought to be thinking about preventive care,
Right.
right? How do we when it comes to our well-being, financial well-being, physical well-being, mental well-being, emotional well-being, spiritual well-being, we are not turning to the traditional education system to gift us that.
Right.
So
No.
post COVID, so when you see what I think, COVID also accelerated this demand. So it's demand and supply back, right? Again,
Yes.
is that if what you demand is to get a job, please by all means get all the degrees you want. You're going to
Correct.
be better prepared to get the best jobs in the world. If what you're desiring is success through the lens of physical well-being, emotional well-being, right? Your relationships, your life, your being, that was never designed to give it to you.
Yes.
It
That's
wasn't
right.
designed to help
Right.
you eat food. How do you know what to eat? How to save your money? Uh, None of that is coming from that system. And so what I'm seeing right now are individuals that have trained themselves in certain verticals, right? Because the system is designed to train you vertically. Okay, legal profession, accounting profession,
Yes.
right? Psychology, all these things, right? What I'm seeing is that there's a new marketplace.
Yes.
There's a new marketplace where people are detaching themselves from systems and they are now making themselves available. And this is a very, very art-centered movement.
Yes.
If you care for humanity, if you care for people, and you believe within yourself you've got the knowledge, skills, and capacity to contribute to other people's life,
Right.
this is now what I've seen, that individuals are coming in to support the world,
Yeah.
right? Because when COVID happened, where do you turn to for help?
Mm.
Relationships, health. So that's what I am seeing, is that there's a new world now
Right.
that is rising up based on the demand for wellness,
Yeah.
right? The full wellness of your being, yourself, your family, going back to what's important. And so the question is, who do you turn to educate you, to guide you, to support you, to motivate you, to challenge you into transforming to the person that you want to be? And
Well,
that's what I'm seeing
that's
now.
and it's kind of where we started the conversation about, happiness and success. The answer
Yes.
to your question is they turn to people like us that have these beliefs and have this, I'll call it skill, to help other people better connect with their own wellness. Because there's no question that when I talk with the executives I talked to when I wrote my book, A Single Day of Peace, many of them that were struggling with life, even though they had, financial success and a great career, but yet they just weren't deeply satisfied. They were asking me then, okay, so like, how do I get there? Like, how do I
Mm,
get to nirvana? Right. And I would share with them that, well, it's these principles that you're going to now have to start working on and
mhm,
doing them. Like, go be silent for 5 minutes a day, go meditate for 20 minutes a day, go do something nice for someone on Saturday morning or Sunday. Instead of going to church, if you go to church, don't go to church, go to some place and donate some money and help feed the poor. Do these things and you'll
mm,
start to feel that sunshine in your heart start to grow, and then there'll be more happiness. So to your question, where do people go? They go to a network like us that we can help them find it within themselves. We just kind of stimulate it within themselves.
I love this because you just gave me an aha moment, because I served as a strategist at the headquarters of Fortune 1. I've always worked there. I serve on the board as well of a publicly traded company. And one of the key things is that people who achieve success, they've always sought advice, they've always surrounded themselves with very smart people that
Mentoring. So
meant,
even the most successful people want to be mentored by others. And
yes,
that's another principle. You need to mentor people. Like one of the things that we can do to help make the world a better place. Let's mentor younger people, older people that need help. Right. But then the most successful people, they're even looking for mentorship. I mean, Bezos and Elon Musk, they have a network of people that they go and talk to. I have a
absolutely.
client that right now that I'm helping their sales and marketing area. All it is a CEO network. They bring CEOs together, no phones allowed, no technology, and nothing to record. And they're honest and open about their business challenges, their personal challenges, etc. So that's the way in which it happens.
Absolutely. And it is a secret to accelerated success. And what I've seen is that the most successful people already know they need help. The least successful people, back to being smart, they're so smart in of themselves that they think that they can operate outside of their own knowledge base, but that
Yeah,
they can achieve
yeah.
success based on their limited information.
Hey, and another saying, you're too smart for your own good, right? That's another saying,
Wow.
right? So it's
Wow.
good to be smart, but let's again humble and let's say, well, maybe I ought to just listen a little bit. Maybe I don't have it totally right. So now there's this balance of self-confidence and will to succeed
Mm,
with humility. Let me just keep an open mind a little bit, right?
yeah.
That balance is really, really important.
And so what I'm seeing, and I'm connecting this to some of the work I do when it comes to economic development and nation building, all of that, is that in a way the wealth gap also is influenced by the knowledge gap,
Hmm.
right?
Sure.
And so those who continue to seek knowledge and see knowledge as a premium and invest in acquiring superior knowledge from those who have achieved success would only continue to achieve more success. And those who do not seek such help, who do not seek such support, who actually underestimate the power of networking, right? Skills, communication skills, this self-discipline, time management, all of these softer skills, those who do not see it as a premium, in a way, they themselves limit their own success level,
You're
right? So
right.
it's almost like the world will give you what you invest in.
Well said. This has been great.
Absolutely. I love it. So let's wrap this up with you sharing again your book, where people can access it, and then any type of information, your website, your social
Sure.
handles,
Thank
your
you.
podcast. Just go ahead and share that.
Sure. Thank you. So the book again is A Single Day of Peace. You can purchase it on Amazon. I'm fortunate to say it was an Amazon bestseller for
Yay.
new releases for the inspirational category. It's won a couple of awards, which I'm very proud of. So you can buy it on Amazon, or you can go to my website, asingledayofpeace.com. You can order it there. As a matter of fact, anyone watching this podcast would like to order it, if you go to my website and you order the book, you can use the promotion code More Peace. So all one word, More Peace, 30% discount. I'm happy to share that with listeners of this podcast.
Wow.
And then also on my website, if you go to the resources tab, this podcast will be there, but there's so many others that I've done over the last year or two that cover lots of these topics as well that you could use to help inspire you and help you achieve that level of success and happiness that you want to achieve.
Ah,
So thank you. I
well,
appreciate the time here, Torlene. I'm very much appreciative.
yeah, and congratulations. I know you've put in your heart into all of this work. So congratulations on
Thank
all
you.
of the successes, and I'm sure, and I hope that this is just the beginning. There's so much more coming. Great
Awesome.
things coming
Thank you
coming.
very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being a guest, and thank you everyone.
Thank
I'll
you.
see you again. God bless you. Bye for now.